What's going on, everyone? This is Jacob Shoup. You're watching the Tom O'Brien Show. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. We have kind of a weird week. We are going to have a full day tomorrow. That is for New Year's Eve, but of course we are going to be off for the January 1st. You have low volume today. Obviously, you have some movement. You know, we had a big gap down today in the SPY and the SPX, really, if I can get this going. Computer is moving slowly, and that's all right. It's maybe Y2K just 25 years late or something like that. But get this off today. You know, you basically have Treasury yields rising, rates higher for longer. You have a lot of junk bonds getting defaulted on. Okay, we've turned green a little bit, though, which is fantastic. You know, and so today you had this massive kind of sell-off. Even the small caps that I'm following were getting totally torched. This is on low volume, though, right? So it kind of remains to be seen what happens going in, you know, to the new year. It's kind of hard for me to call on this, right? You know, one I would say is that you have the rest of the world not doing very well in any capacity, right? So you get capital flight into America, all right? You have some of these guys taking off some profits. This has been an insane year, and there's indications that inflation is going to, you know, kind of persist into next year. You know, I think the biggest threat that exists right now to the economy and really the market is going to be, well, one, I would say the high leveraging of, you know, hedge funds and stuff like that. I think that can be a massive problem. There's some news headlines that Citadel is really leveraged pretty heavily. Of course, if you get inflation, you know, persisting at these levels, and I think there's at least going to be an attempt to do so by growing the economy in the Trump administration, you know, you can start having discussions of further interest rate increases, and I think you get to a massive, you know, massive problem in that kind of realm. Take a look at the SPX right now. You're off about 0.71%, it's trading at 5,928. Take a look at the composite. You're off about 0.72%, trading at 19,580. The Dow Jones Industrial off about 0.68% at 42,702. You have the DXY trading at 108.09. Nothing really changed too much today. And there you have some consolidation over the past few sessions here, right around that 108 level. You have crude oil up about 0.71%, 71.10. That's the light sweet crude futures. Of course, Brent is at 74.09. Natural gas caught a big bid as well. If I can get it. Mainly because it looks like we're having this is going to be for January, but 3.7% right now. We have a massive polar vortex coming. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's kind of insane. I mean, we're getting temperatures projected in St. Petersburg, Florida, of 21 degrees Fahrenheit, which is insane. Let me just pull this chart over because this is kind of nuts. And there's been a lot of talk of, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm back on Twitter, unfortunately, and a lot of people are talking about the fog. There's fog all throughout the Northern Hemisphere, and it's probably because of something like this. But I mean, this is going to be pretty severe if it comes, you know, to pass in this way. I can't find the exact chart that I'm looking for on it. But I mean, you're having like negative 40s, negative 35s in the Midwest, you know, so, you know, be careful, right? I think this is going to show us as well kind of how weak our infrastructure is. One of the things that I would have liked to see, and I think Biden did somewhat of an interesting job with it, with the Inflation Reduction Act, but Trump as well, of really investing into infrastructure. Now, of course, it is inflationary, right? But I mean, we remember what happened, you know, in Texas when they got that freeze a few years ago. I mean, their whole system just kind of shut down. Now, of course, that is not always a common thing that's going to happen. But I think something like this is probably going to be pretty intensive on infrastructure. You might see some like outages. Obviously, it could be very dangerous situations, stuff like that. So that might be some catalyst going forward as well for more investment within infrastructure in America. I think it'd be kind of interesting. You have the gold contract trading off about 0.42% at 2,620. You have copper off about 0.57% at $4.09. You had silver off 1.73% at $29.45, and the Russell off 0.49%. Actually doing somewhat better. Some of these small caps have been doing okay today. There's a lot of pump and dumps that are still going on. One in particular, I believe this is, I'll get it over the break. No, I know what it is. This is it. Ocean Power Technology. This is up 83.48% today. Okay volume at 129. We'll talk a little bit about this, kind of go into their financials, but this is one I want to, put it out for you guys. They've been trying to pump this thing for the past few weeks, right? They're making AI buoys. There's some communication or some idea that they have some kind of deal with Palantir that renders Palantir essentially wanting them to succeed. I can't find anything that I would make sense of that conclusion, but regardless, they've been trying to pump this for days. You see this massive movement up to 53 cents, comes right back down, and this is where this pump occurred all throughout December, or at least the setup for it, and now you're getting it today on really no news at all. So be somewhat careful if you're looking into this kind of stuff. There's a lot of these forums online that talk about the microcaps, and some of them are interesting. Some of them I could absolutely see, having some kind of legs to stand on. Something with Ocean Power, I don't see that at all, especially at 126 million market cap, and it's kind of unclear what they're going to do, if anything, that's going to be able to make them money and keep them elevated like that. Now, I will say as well, as far as things that Palantir can pump up, you take a look at RCAT today. We're now trading over 1.1 billion in market cap, up 15.33% today. I'm not sure, again, there's any news. The exercise transaction, this is $4.8 million though, and we're talking about a $1 billion company. Now, they are setting up with Palantir to work on, this is called the Black Widow drone, which I think is very interesting tech and probably will become, at least what they're trying to do platform-wise by making it not communicate with GPS, I think is huge and probably will be standard going forward. Hard to say if Red Cat will be able to actually keep a moat with that. I'm not sure that's necessarily proprietary technology, but I think being able to utilize kind of Palantir's just basically system in order for their drones to know what they're operating in, I think is good for Red Cat. Now, this is pretty much speculation at this point here at 15.42%. There's no news today. Everything else will be getting smoked. So kind of unclear why RCAT gets this bid today. But I'm following it. It's an interesting company. A lot of people are memeing it, and at some certain point, it takes on a life of its own, and weird things can happen. Folks, stay right there. We'll be right back. I believe Steve Rhodes will be on with us after this break.